Welcome to the Environmental Leadership Chronicles podcast, brought to you by the California Association of Environmental Professionals. In this episode, we feature Annemarie Cox, Marketing Manager and Cultural Resource Specialist with PanGIS. She provides geodatabase development for cultural and historical resources, data analysis and report writing, environmental compliance services, artifact curation, marketing, public outreach, and advocacy. She has served as California Archaeology Month coordinator for the Society for California Archaeology and is a California Project Archaeology Facilitator and California Site Steward for CASSP. Annemarie has close to 30 years of experience in the cultural resource management field, including conducting archaeological field surveys, archaeological site recording, testing, construction monitoring, and laboratory work. This includes prehistoric and historic artifact identification, cataloging, and analysis. We hope you enjoy hearing from Annemarie. Hi, I'm Jessa.
And I'm Laurel, and today's guest is Annemarie Cox. Thank you so much for being with us. You are our first archaeologist on the AEP podcast. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. And let's start by sharing how you're connected to AEP.
Okay. As you introduced me as an archaeologist, I will then defer in my role as a marketing manager for PanGIS. I was tasked with locating organizations, societies, affiliations that would be in line with PanGIS and the services. And so I did some research and AEP came up, and I looked at the calendar of events, both past, current, and future, reviewed the newsletter, the larger, I believe, journal or periodical for the state, and I was quite impressed. It was not exactly the vernacular, the topics that I was familiar with, but I knew they were definitely in line with PanGIS services. Therefore, I promoted membership to AEP to Alice Brewster, the owner of PanGIS. And after that, we became involved. We attended the scholarship and awards nights. We attended an event at a brewery, and I say events because, you know, I don't quite remember, but I always remember the venue, the location. We went to a D-cell, a tour of the D-cell at Carlsbad, and just felt welcomed, walked away with new knowledge, and just new friends, and definitely emails and business cards back in the day, right, when we passed those out. Then I must say my favorite events were when I participated in the resume workshops, and I walked into a room full of young, to me, individuals with paper in hand. And at first I was a bit intimidated. These individuals were going for positions that I was somewhat unfamiliar with, but thankfully I had a daughter who had attended Chico with a geography degree and had a certificate in urban and rural planning, so I knew the GIS components to planning. But at first I was, again, intimidated, and I was like, oh, this looks really good. Maybe you don't want to do this. But several resumes later, I understood that that is not my role there. And there was one particular young lady who had a very powerful project that she did for a city. At the city's request, they came to her university and requested this, I believe, an EIA. It was the last item on the second page, because she wasn't paid for it. And I said, Is this not what you want to do? Big red circle, right? And I just put it right up at the top. We talked about that. Don't relegate non-paid work that you want to be paid for on the last item on the second page.
So important.
Great advice.
So that's AEP, and I continue to marvel at how accomplished and you've been able to do all of this during these times. So AEP.
Great plug. Couldn't ask for anything better than that. And I think, Annemarie, we're really interested in speaking with you and about your career path and how you have found yourself at PanGIS as a cultural resource manager and marketing manager. And, what you were just saying, I think highlights one of the various paths in the industry that you can find yourself in a career when you're looking at a lot of these acronyms and terms where you're unfamiliar with it, despite all these years of experience, because the industry is so varied. And so we want to hear your story. Tell us about your background and your experience and how you got into archaeology.
Well, Jessa, thank you. As a child, I, like many children, I wanted to be an archaeologist. And fortunately, I had, at the time, I had a stepdad who was very involved in my life, and I appreciated that very much. And he pointed out when I was a young child, CEQA. And I remember being out on one of the many, many hikes we would be on. And he said to me, I could have a career in archaeology because now there was CEQA. And he knew what it meant. He was the adult in this situation. But all I heard was I could be an archaeologist. And therefore, I thought about what an archaeologist was and what aspects of archaeology that I was excited about. And it wasn't the route I believe all others perhaps were in. I can only speak for myself, but it wasn't so much the discovery of the artifacts, the digging, the sifting, the measuring, the strata. It was the interpretation. How do items, how are they procured in order to be displayed and interpreted at museums? And who gets to interpret these artifacts and collections? You go to a museum as a child, I saw the best of the best, perhaps. Things were pristine, things were clean, things were perfect. And I wondered, what about the other things, the broken things, the not so pretty things, which I think was a lot for a child. But I was very focused on what is saved, what is salvaged, and what is discarded. And so it wasn't the discovery. I didn't want to go out and find it. I wanted someone to do all of that and then give it to me so that I could tell the public, this is an artifact, this is what it means, and this is why you should care. And that was my path. So I went into the curation aspect of archaeology for years prior to actually being boots on the ground, as they say. And I learned to where I was monitoring and surveying and doing compliance work. So that was my travels, somewhat in the reverse order of the archaeological record, going from interpretive to discovery.
And I think you're spot on with your assumption that it is uncommon. And I was one of those children who said, I want to be an archaeologist. And in my mind, that meant going to find pyramids and exploring and looking for artifacts and being, that's just what I thought a day in the life was like. When I seriously started looking into a career in that field, through you, Annemarie, actually as a volunteer with the San Diego Archaeological Center, I realized, I am very mistaken in what a career looks like. And so I love the fact that you, especially like you said, as a child, were looking at these pieces and the interpretive side of it, I think is so interesting because I didn't even think about that until you said it right now, to be honest. So I'm like, oh yeah, there's this whole other storytelling and discovery aspect to that side of it. So I find it very fascinating.
Well, you were there, Jessa. You were part of that integral storyline, as you said, because you were able to sit at a table, staff a table with me at events, and not tell people what archaeology was. You remember, Jessa, we did inquiry. We asked, what do you think it is? And why do you think this is what you think archaeology is? Because what you do is you find it's a scaffolding. I learned this in project archaeology. It's find out what their basis of knowledge is and then build on it. So archaeology, what is archaeology? And they say what it is, and then you build on it. You don't refute it in so much as you walk around it. It's history, it's dinosaurs. You find what they know, and then you begin to, I guess, educate them on actually the concepts, I guess, the fundamentals of archaeology, as well as the ethics of archaeology. So, people know, I've always said people know a lot about us. They know a lot about a subject they know little about. Oh, archaeology, I love it. I know it's this. So you got them at that. Archaeology is a natural hook. But I found what I did in archaeology at the Arc Center was educating the public, again, on what archaeology is, what it isn't necessarily, but the vast career opportunities that are embedded in the discipline of archaeology. You could have a student there, and maybe they don't, they're not maybe into the vocabulary and such, but boy, put pen to paper or pencil to paper, and they've literally replicated an artifact on a piece of paper, and you're like, oh, there you go, illustrator, artifact illustrator. Empowering them, right? With scientific literacy, vocabulary, again, building on what they know, and certainly expanding, as Jessa knows, always creating an opportunity for a takeaway, whether it's pinch pots or cordage or a rock art lesson. So yes, educating the public on archaeology was and still is my passion.
I didn't even know that an artifact illustrator was a job until you just said it. And I've been in the industry for like 14 years.
Can I mention someone who did not know they were an artifact illustrator until they became an award-winning paid artifact illustrator?
Yeah.
Donna Walker. Props for Donna Walker. She was a volunteer. She is a volunteer at the Arc Center. Oh, who knew? And now she's award-winning. And so yes, an artifact illustrator.
And that's so amazing that you're sitting there and you're like, oh, this is your gift. This is your professional gift to the world. You were a part of that real-time discovery.
Exactly. I thought so, because and then of course, in my marketing position now, I have to say, when you see proposals where you need a ceramic expert, I look at Alice and I'm like, I'm no expert in ceramics, but I know someone. We need an artifact illustrator. Donna comes in on the proposal. Geotechnical, Nori Robbins. It's like, I remember thinking 6 degrees of separation is 5 too many. My fear was that I would actually have to do some of these tasks versus, let me get them. You want me to email them? Because the idea was surrounding myself with all of the knowledge, again, in the archaeological discipline, has served not only me well in my career, but also in my ability to mentor younger potential up-and-coming archaeologists, to be able to introduce them to women definitely in varied archaeological positions, whether, again, it's a ceramic expert, an artifact illustrator, a crew chief, a lab, paleopaleontology. The idea is to collect people in archaeological disciplines, and so that you're never caught short when you are trying to assist someone else younger, and they just want to be an archaeologist too, ever since they were a little kid. That's all one of the things that's so important to me.
Everybody wants to be Indiana Jones.
Exactly. Yes.
And one point you said that resonates super strongly with me is you're collecting like a Rolodex, if you will, of professionals and experts in various specialties within the archaeological industry. So even like specialized specialists.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been, for me, also a really good value add to my career, is because I do not have all the answers. And I'm so glad that I don't have to have all the answers. Who wants to be in that responsibility? But somebody you know does. Mm-hmm. And through AEP and through the Rolodex that you collect over time of human beings that have specific gifts, you call on those people, and that's your value add when you go into proposals for clients, or when you go to collect a team within a professional organization or a business, or when you're going out to do business development. You're like, okay, I can assemble these particular people for this particular project. So as a marketing manager, walk us through an example of one of the most rewarding or fun experiences of pulling a proposal or pulling a team together and winning a project.
Oh, winning.
Okay, maybe winning on your internally, maybe not winning externally.
Spoken like a true marketing person who's done one too many proposals.
I want to not a joke. The one of the most rewarding proposals I have worked on for PanGIS, and of course with Alice side by side, even more so, she's the decision maker, was a project involving water. And in California, it's already controversial. Just say the word water in your proposal title. So pulling together a team for that, being able to reach out to, again, geotechnical, tribal liaisons, which is of most importance, particularly for this project. Excuse me. Being able to bring in, again, the experts for FERC, like who knew FERC, and we do, and being able to assemble ethnographers for these very extensive water projects in the state of California. We did not win this project. And I actually became discouraged because I thought, oh, it's too controversial. And I was encouraged by a small business office located in Northern California who said, Annemarie, are you thinking that you're going to be a problem to this project or a solution to this project? And he said, I would hope you would think you were a solution. And with that said, it was a go. And we submitted the proposal because, again, he said, you can be a solution to this perceived project challenge. And PanGIS did not win. I crunched the numbers. And I know one of the issues is this was a Northern California project, and we are located here in Southern California. We need offices in Northern California. That was the determination. It was a matter of very, very, very few dollars. So I believe we put up a very good proposal.
Yeah, and that's such a great learning opportunity. We're all gonna not win or fail or whatever the word is for it. I think in this case you did win because you garnered this industry knowledge and the strategic move to potentially open offices in Northern California to pursue the project work that is fulfilling and meaningful and exciting.
Yes.
And that you don't know that until you try.
Yes. And again, it was an encouragement. And to follow up to some wins, having some recent Army Corps projects on the beautiful Columbia River was, again, I guess, a victory for someone who came in from a nonprofit background, and for someone, for Alice in a for-profit firm to say, I understand you've come from a nonprofit. We hired you to do this particular GIS project. That's over. We'd like to keep you. And recognizing, you know, a lot of people, Annemarie, you understand a lot about the archaeological process, and taking a chance on me, and then expanding my, my task to marketing. She took a huge risk on hiring someone with my through the back door, exit front door path. And I can't thank her enough because, again, exciting work. Even the compliance work that I conduct is exciting and motivating and purposeful. And oftentimes I've heard younger say, oh, compliance, it's not real archaeology. And now that I'm in the field, I disagree. It's real, it's valid, and most important is when I'm, again, collaborating with a Native American monitor on the Cuyamacas, up in Rancho Cuyamaca. I believe, my path led me to be there and to fully understand why I'm there.
I love that. And that's one of my favorite things about you. Well, you just highlighted all of it, that you know everything and everyone. I just say, you don't know, a lot, And like you said, if you don't know it, you know someone who does. And I think just shout out to Alice, founder, owner of PanGIS, for keeping an open mind and finding, we talk about finding the gems in you. So if you, for example, were to have applied to this job that was posted with a resume, it probably wouldn't have lined up. The bullet points wouldn't have aligned. However, Alice is like, you have the skills I need. We just need to maybe reframe some of the approaches, and you're going to excel and shine in this role. And, marketing is a lot of networking and knowing who exists to help you solve these problems and find solutions to these project challenges. So I love that Alex, oh my gosh, Alice had this creative open mind. And, and so can you tell us a little bit, so have you formally studied archaeology?
Well, I have, I finally ultimately earned a BA at San Diego State. And I can tell you that I listened to another one of your podcasts, and Claudia's story was very inspiring and similar in that it took me a while. I made good decisions, and then I made life skill decisions, get a job, pay rent. And so entering back into the academia to finish up my degree at San Diego State. Oh gosh, I remember going to the financial advisor at San Diego State, and this young man was in there, and I was just weeping. I'm out of money. I'm out of time. And this woman came in, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to take this one. And he got up and he left, and she sat down. She's like, really? You're out of money? You're out of time? I said, I'm 28. So she said, okay, not a problem. And then I went to San Diego State, and then I was able to take a course with Ashley Phillips, who set me up with Grace Johnson in an internship at the Museum of Us, then not titled that. And that particular internship set me up for my first career position, because the first thing they asked was, what did you do at the Museum of Man, and can you do that here? And it was all about, finishing up my BA at San Diego State, not to negate anything. My community college experience at Bakersfield College was awesome, phenomenal. I believe it was at that point where I did understand, no, I don't want to be in the field, because I was doing field school. but having these women in these positions, career positions, that then led me to being hired at the Vista Historical Society. This wonderful woman called me on a Monday and said, "You're hired. We've never ran a museum. You've never ran a museum. Let's run a museum together." Fast forward, Lynn Christensen, San Diego Archaeological Center, is going to move out to the San Pasqual Valley. Hooked me up. Cindy Stankowski, executive director, collaborated for 11 years. Then Alice, I've had exceptional women the entire way, and I've never turned my back on an inquiry from a younger ARC student or a potential ARC student, because no one turned their back on me. So
you hear it here on the Environmental Leadership Chronicles. That's what leadership is the community helping each other, making those connections, introducing, trying new things, going for it, giving it a go, and bringing people in, and just constantly professionals supporting each other, entrepreneurs supporting each other. And before you know it, you work on a project and a role is created so that you can stay with that company. Basically, a role is created and you jump in on it and you're open. And another shout out to Alice, woman-owned business. It is a lovely example. It's a lovely example of how when you support women, beautiful businesses happen and beautiful relationships happen. Thank you for sharing that with us, because we actually, in the environmental industry, it seems like through AEP, we've got a very healthy, robust number of women in the industry. It's kind of like it's really fun to see women in leadership, especially on the AEP state board and the chapter boards and professionals all around the state. And I just want to applaud these women-owned businesses in the environmental consulting industry that are doing exactly that. They've got these cultures that they set up to attract the right people. And then, you can make a position fit that right person, and then you can kind of just expand together.
Yes. And it did not go unnoticed, the leadership of AEP, the female leadership. I don't know if I was like, I can honestly say I wasn't, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I've seen female leadership through my entire life. Parenting at the PTA level. It was rare that we had a male actually come into PTA. Shout out to Ray, but I've seen it. I've been surrounded by it my whole life. So I wasn't surprised. I'm not surprised. Mm-hmm. In fact, it delights me.
Yeah, it does delight me. And you also mentioned in your story about the Museum of Man, which is in San Diego County, and recently updated the name to the Museum of Us, which is a signal, I feel, to the world that we're more open and more diverse. And I also want to applaud that from the AEP side. It aligns with our DEI initiative and work to acknowledge those types of changes that are going on. Have you witnessed any other? Were you a part of that change? Have you seen any other types of change that have gone from slightly myopic to more open in our industry?
Wow, that's deep. I understand that women have been making changes throughout time, and we've been underscored. Sometimes it becomes somebody else's idea, and I'm encouraged again by the number of women that are in not only in the environmental field, but who take leadership. And I took note at the ARC Center, the consulting firms that had women in leadership roles, decision making, the PI level, and it didn't go unnoticed when I saw firms expanding and as they should be, elevating more and more women. Then I go into the field and I understand it's not always that same representation. I would like to see more women crew chiefs. I'd like to, like Isabel Cordova. I can't believe I messed her name up. Isabel Cordova. My first crew chief took me out, handed me the Trimble, said, "Do it." I wish I could see that. And again, I think it's advantageous that I came in as I did, or I might have thought it was a norm to be expected. And now I'd like to see there's no absence of female archaeologists out there, boots on the ground, the compliance field that I'm working in now, but I don't see a lot of the crew chiefs or the people answering the end of the phone, women. It's better for some firms and not so much for other firms. Mm-hmm. So I would like to see, I understand leadership PI roles, but when my POC is a female, big smile. Yay. Big smile.
I agree. And when I was in university, in my environmental ethics class, it was sort of this aha moment where we were taught that environmentalism is feminism and feminism is environmentalism, and you really can't be an environmentalist without being a feminist, and you really can't be a feminist without being an environmentalist. And that concept has always stuck with me, and I do feel very encouraged and supported by the AEP organization as I am a female and in a leadership role at the organization. And it was never an uphill battle that I didn't create for myself, meaning I didn't have like external people trying to get in my way or prevent me from being in these roles. I actually had people like Mindy Fogg and Connie Dobrova and everybody that's on the AEP board being like, Laurel, join us at the state level, like, let's do this. Let's leverage your energy and your passion. And you've reminded me, when I'm thinking back in my mind, of all the cultural resources specialists I've worked with in my career are all female.
Oh, good. That's good.
They are. Good. Donna Beto at the County of San Diego.
Yeah.
Gay Hillard, before she left, she was at the County of San Diego in another department. And all these other consultants that I would review when I worked at the County of San Diego, they were all female, and I did not recognize that until just now.
Well, that's very encouraging, and I know those women, and I applaud them. And I too, after 20 plus years, I know that there's one particular young woman who is in a decision-making leadership role, I think. Actually, there's two at Caltrans. I'm going to drop that. I remember these young women. The first thing they did was have the passion to want to go into archaeology. The second decision was they made a phone call, or it could have been an email. But either way, I met them. And now I couldn't be more proud. And there are other women in roles throughout San Diego and elsewhere. And gosh, I'm so proud of them, because I remember when all they wanted to do was to be an archaeologist, and they are. And they're doing different things, like they're at Caltrans, utilities, THPO offices, they're PIs. They're everywhere. They're doing what they want to do. They're archaeological illustrators. And that is my, when I see on LinkedIn that so-and-so is now a planner for Caltrans,
yay!
Yay, right?
Yeah, and I want to also do a shout out to Caltrans. They have 12 AEP memberships throughout the state of California, so that 12 people at any given time can go to AEP events and get their latest education and updates. And I'm so proud to have public agencies a part of the organization, so that it's this free flow of information sharing, and the best of the best get the information they need right at their fingertips. And yes, Thank you. And I also want to share that in 2022, AEP will be launching a mentorship program where we can match people like you, Annemarie, with youngins or not so youngins who are looking for connections and advice. And I want to celebrate and honor you for being such a giver in this community and being so supportive. And I want to talk to you forever and ever and ever. Amen. However, I think we're ready for our wrap up rapid five, Jessa, unless you have another.
I have one digression before we wrap up. I cannot end this without asking you, what is the coolest artifact that you've come across or found, had in the Arc Center? Please share.
Well, okay, quickly, I'll do two. There's one particular artifact at the Arc Center that was discovered on a local military installation on the surface. And this young Marine thought enough to pick it up and not just let it lie there in order for it potentially to be destroyed. I have changed minds with that artifact, Jessa. I've had, individuals come in with parents or SOs or friends who they don't get it. They don't get it. I put that artifact in that person's hand, not the person that wants to be the archaeologist. They get it. That person looks to me, looks to the friend or whatever and said, oh, I get it. One artifact. Personally, what I love to find is canning lids with the porcelain cap, because now, of course, they're a metal band and a metal lid with that rubber thing. Well, canning before, they had a beautiful porcelain lid that they would cap in and then band it with a metal cap. And sometimes you would find one, sometimes you'd find the other. The best is when you see that cap, you flip it over, and that porcelain canning a cap lid, if you will, is still in place. And I immediately think of my grandma, and there you go. Life is good. So those are the two things.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Jessica.
All right. Wrap up rapid five. What is your favorite daily habit?
Coffee and the morning news and whatever is on TLC.
Oh, we might have to talk about 90 Day Fiance offline.
90 Day Fiance.
The other way.
The other way. Pillow talk.
Okay. What are three things you'd bring to a deserted island?
Hiking boots with paracord laces, tweezers, and I have a book of lists that it's a big book of lists that I would bring.
Love it. Hey, what is your favorite environmental policy?
The Clean Air Act.
Great.
Started in 1963, and then it has expanded, obviously had amended many times.
What is your favorite fauna or flora?
I guess native pollinators. And for an environment, I love the desert, the high desert. It's quiet, it's clean.
And finish this sentence or thought. Wouldn't it be cool if?
Wouldn't it be cool if every global resident had safe access to food, water, and shelter? Potable water.
Love it. Thank you so much, Annemarie. Thank you for
Jessica.
coming and sharing. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a new podcast, it really helps us if you share with friends and colleagues that may enjoy this podcast as well. And please subscribe or follow the podcast to be alerted for new episodes. Also, if you want to submit a shout out, please send a voice memo under a minute, ideally to podcast with an S at CALIFAEP.org. Again, that's podcast at CALIFAEP.org or any feedback that you'd like to share. We love feedback. Thank you.